Hello, folks. Wanted to come on and do an episode of Steel Rails podcast. It'll just be me this morning. I wanted to try out a new type of show and come on and do. I know that my buddy Ryan does Supernatural News once a week, and as a matter of fact, he and I are going to come on Sunday night and talk about Supernatural News. I wanted to come on and test this platform for maybe doing some train news every now and then, and maybe see how that works. I've got one news clip that I found from last week. Sad news. A man in Rusk County, Minnesota, was struck and hit by a train, and maybe we'll go over that and talk about that for a bit. And then also maybe talk about one of the scenic railroads that I have found that I would like to cross off my bucket list at some point in time and maybe go see. So I figured we would go ahead and do that and see how this is accepted, and if you guys like this format, maybe go ahead and keep doing that. And maybe when we do this, I can also go ahead and bring Bailey or Lucas on from the MTM that I work with and volunteer with, and see how that goes. They're actually just getting started with work this morning. I don't know what they're doing up at the museum today. I know that we've got 325, which is a SDB 40. Sorry, it's early in my first cup of coffee. So it's SDP 40. Was run by the Great Northern Railroad. We have it, and it was just gone through a restoration. Thank you to the anonymous contributor that helped us get through that restoration phase and got her back. So we're getting her rest of the way done, and going to get her out on the Osceola line for excursions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's talk about the news that I found. Let's go ahead and bring that up. And so basically what this was is I was scrolling through this morning and just looking at some topics to read. And this one kind of popped out at me. Kind of sad, but it goes to show what can happen if you're out on live tracks, which walking, I get that. I get that you want to get out and you want to go walk around and you want to see what's going on, and maybe there's, you're a rail fan or you just want to get out and walk, but you have to understand that walking on live tracks is not something you should do. It's not safe, and technically, the majority, if not all of the tracks in the USA, it's trespassing if you're out on live tracks. You can get fines, you can get arrested, or you could get hurt or killed. And that, unfortunately, is what happened here. Headlines say one person dead after being hit by train in Rusk County. This was August 6th of 2023. So this was last Saturday. And so town of Hubbard, one person is dead after they were reportedly hit by a train in Rusk County Saturday evening. According to a press release from the Rusk County Sheriff, Jeffrey Wallace, the sheriff's office received a 911 call around 5:55 p.m. on Saturday that a person had been hit by a train on the trestle near Kapner Road in the town of Hubbard. Rusk County Sheriff deputies, Rusk County Ambulance, and the Bruce Fire Department, Ladysmith Fire Department, Bruce Weyerhaeuser fire responders, the Canadian National Railroad, and the Lifelink 3 helicopter all responded. So this was a mutual aid all call out for something sad that happened. According to the press release, the person was pinned underneath the train when the responders arrived and life-saving measures were attempted. Once the person was removed from underneath the train, further life-saving measures were attempted. The person was pronounced dead at the scene. The name of the person has not been released at this time. The incident is under investigation by the Rusk County Sheriff's Office, Canadian National Railroad, and the Rusk County Medical Examiner's Office. So, unfortunately, person just wanted to go out for a walk, and be that it may, is unfortunate. I don't have any information further on that. I don't know if that is speculation as far as what happened. Maybe he had headphones on, maybe he was distracted, maybe he was bent down. Don't know if the crew saw him. Don't know what measures the crew took. But you got to think that's got to weigh heavily on the crew's mind. Seeing someone on the tracks, and I'm sure it happens. People encroach on the tracks, and like I said, maybe they're rail fans. They want to get a better view of the train. They're trying to document a specific train, but getting that close is not safe. And like I said, when a crew hits somebody, that's a bad day for the crew as well, because they have to go through that trauma. If they stop the train, and keep in mind, when a train is going, depending on the load, depending on what they're carrying, it could take anywhere from a mile to 2 miles to stop, depending on how fast they're going and what they're carrying. So once they hit the person, it's not over. The trauma begins, and then the 911 calls go out. So the local 911 calls go out, the responders show up, and there's that work to go ahead and extricate the person from the incident. Now there is Norfolk Southern. I know they have a 911 first responders train. And basically what that is it's a train that goes around the nation that works with the first responders in all these towns, teaches them ways on how to work with train incidents, first responding, first aid, maybe how to put out fires, how to extricate, how to better help the railroad companies in emergencies and times of need. The head locomotive on this train, Norfolk Southern, is 911, and it's got a first responder paint scheme on it, red and white. And I believe they also talk about forest fires as well, and how to help with that. I do believe that they have a fire car which has some water containers and spray nozzles and all that to help out with that. unfortunate. That's sad that that's happened. So I think what we'll do is we will move on from then. And we will go on to the next subject, which is best train rides in the USA for seriously gorgeous views. It's all about the journey on the best train rides in the US, featuring mind-blowingly scenic routes. Of course, a road through America is one of the best ways to see the magnificent views and offers viewers views on offer across the county. But from time to time, it's just nice to take a break from being behind the wheel. Instead, how about taking one of the best train rides in the USA? Gently saunter across the country, leaving you free to contemplate life and ponder the meaning of existence, or just spend a few hours thinking about nothing and staring out the window. Now, that sounds good to me. I know today there's Amtrak out there, and Amtrak helps you get from point A to point B. And there's commuter rails that help you get from point A to point B. But what we're talking about here is we're talking about heritage railroads, and we're talking about just going out there to see what life was like, how people got from point A to point B, and just the scenic vistas that there are to see. Now, there are a lot of when you go and do these trains, some are pulled by diesel, and then some are pulled by heritage units like steam trains. This first one is the Rockies to Red Rock. It's out of Denver, Colorado to Moab, Utah. First U.S. offering from luxury Canadian company Rocky Mountains. The new Rockies to the Red Rocks trip takes passengers on a 2-day ride from Denver to Moab, passing through the stunning Rocky Mountains and southwest scenery along the way. Best of all, passengers will witness all the gorgeous nature from the train's glass dome top. That's right, we're talking about unobstructed views of some of the most gorgeous scenery in the USA. The 2023 session will kick off from August and will run through October. Now, that one's interesting. I have watched that on YouTube a lot. So they have the Denver to Moab run, and then they also have one up in Canada. I haven't looked at prices. That would be interesting. That one is on my bucket list. And I hope that when I get a chance to do that, I will take my video camera on my phone and I will do a blog on that. Because that is number one bucket list for me. Number two, we have the Coast Starlight, which is Los Angeles, California to Seattle, Washington. Put a spin on a classic left coast road trip by traveling by train instead. The advantages: zero wrong turn fights and way more photo ops. The 1,377 mile Coast Starlight route hits the best of West Santa Barbara, San Francisco, Sacramento, and Portland, and more. On the 36-hour trip, bounce from your seat to the dining car and to the sightseer lounge car, where all the seats face the panoramic floor-to-ceiling windows. Now, that one would be interesting for me. I spent some time out in the Pacific Northwest when I was a child. My dad was in the U.S. Navy. We were stationed up in Bremerton, Washington. I absolutely love it out there, and I think that would be a fun trip to add to the bucket list. So that was the Coast Starlight, which is in California. Number three is the Grand Canyon Railway, which is another one on my bucket list. What we see right there is an F unit. Williams, Arizona to the Grand Canyon, Arizona. Sure, You may have been to the Grand Canyon already, but have you ever admired the Grand Canyon country from the train? On the Grand Canyon Railway, you will depart from Williams, Arizona, and roll through pine forests and prairies, spotting pronghorn and bald eagles, before arriving 2 hours and 15 minutes later at the epic South Rim. All of the historic cars of the Grand Canyon Railway have fascinating former lives, and some have glass dome ceilings from unstoppable panoramas. Now, that would interest me. Not only do they have diesel heritage units, but they have diesel steam units. So they have steam locomotive number 29 that was built in 1906 by the American Locomotive Company in Lima, Ohio, to haul iron on trains in the Lake Superior and Ishpeming Railroad in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Retired from the LS and IRR in 1960, it was sold to the scenic Marquette and Huron Mountain Railroad, but was never used. Grand Canyon Railroad purchased number 29 when the line was reborn in 1989, and it entered service on the Grand Canyon line in 1990. Operating until 1995, number 29 saw service again from 2004 to 2008 after a complete overhaul. From 2008 to 2016, it enjoyed a semi-retirement as a static display locomotive, first greeting our passengers arriving from the platform in Williams, later on display in front of the historic Grand Canyon Depot on the South Rim. In 2016, the Grand Canyon Railway undertook a major project of bringing number 29 back to life to help celebrate the National Park Service's centennial anniversary, and it returned to the rails for the first time in 8 years on August 24th, 2016, pulling a round-trip train from Grand Canyon National Park. Later that week, number 29 paired up with locomotive number 4960 for the first steam doubleheader to the Grand Canyon since 2012. Steam locomotive number 4960 was built in 1923 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and saw service on the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad, hauling iron ore and other freight through the American Midwest. Retired from the CB&Q RR in 1960, it pulled excursion trains, museum trains, and circus trains throughout Wisconsin and the Midwestern states until the early 1970s, when it was put on display. Purchased by the Grand Canyon Railway in 1989. In 1996, number 4960 underwent one of the most extensive locomotive rebuilding and restoration projects in modern history, converting it from a coal burner to burn diesel or fuel, as further modifications were made in 2009 as the GCR converted it to run on recycled waste vegetable oil. Since 2009, number 4960 has served as the backbone of our steam fleet, powering all of our steam excursions and round trips to the Grand Canyon. Due to its popularity, number 4960 has taken its place as an icon among operational steam locomotives in the United States. So there is a little bit of history on that for the Grand Canyon. That's interesting due to the fact that I absolutely love railroading. I love the history. Not only is it history in railroading, but it's our nation's history. And The interesting thing about that is that's how we grew. Western expansion. If it weren't for the railroads, we wouldn't have had the westward expansion. We wouldn't have had the booms and busts that this nation had, and we wouldn't be where we were today. It's very important for me as a living historian outside of trains to keep history alive, because if living historians like myself are not there to teach it, it will no longer be taught. I've been out of school for over 20 years. Lord knows what they're teaching to kids nowadays about history. No history books. It's all, technology. It's all online and stuff. And who knows what's being taught about that today. And that's in part why I'm volunteering at the Minnesota Transportation Museum. Not only do we keep Minnesota history alive, but we keep history of railroading alive. So I kind of wanted to come on today and kind of make this a test episode and see how this went. Let me know if I was rambling. Let me know if I need to look at the TV at the screen more. This was kind of a test pilot on seeing how this was going, and just wanted to let you guys in on something I wanted to try, and wanted to try this news bit and see if this works with our trains. And I want to wish you guys a very happy weekend. I hope that you guys are doing stuff that you want to do and just enjoying the weekend. Wanted to let you know that I will be coming on with Ryan from the Freaking Awesome Paranormal Show tomorrow night at 9:00 for supernatural news with the freaks. An update on that is I am now Ryan's co-host. So every Tuesday night at 9:00, we will be coming on with a freaking awesome paranormal show. And we will give updates on what we're doing with that on Sunday night. And also wanted to let you know that next Friday night at 7:30 p.m. CST, Adrian and I will be coming on and talking about the Philadelphia experiment that happened in 1943, the fall of. And that's interesting because not only does that have to do with the United States Navy in wartime of World War II, but it also has to do with our scientists, namely Albert Einstein, and not only Einstein, but Nikola Tesla, and their work in degaussing and maybe time travel. Who knows? We will talk about that then and see where that goes from there. So that has been Steel Rails Podcast Train News for this Saturday. I hope, like I said, I hope this day finds you well, and have a great weekend, and we will see you next time. Have a safe journey on the rail.